I'm live again. I got shit on my laptop screen. I got and I got a good show for everybody today. At least I hope so. I'll be with you until around 8:30 Eastern. I'm very excited about today's show. We're going to be talking about a few things. So, first of all, everybody needs to know that I'm live. Because I'm pretty sure on YouTube even if I tell you to put on notifications, it still isn't going to work because nobody gets notified when I go live or upload. Excuse me, I have to adjust this correctly. Nobody tells YouTube doesn't let anybody know when I'm live or anything like that because I have to let everybody know myself because it's just so ridiculous and insane. Hold on a second. Let's go here. If I would have bothered to actually, where is? Oh, here it is. Man, it's like really hot right now. At least in this room where I'm at. I don't know. Let me see. 70 degrees. And it's October 26th. No wonder why I'm sweating here. It's so hot today. It's so hot today. So do me a favor if you haven't already, please like the stream and share it out and give me, just chat with me too. Let's see. Thank you very much. Let me do this then. Hold on a second. Uh, all right, there you go. Wait a minute. Now let's go here. Oops. Oh, come on now. Let's see. No. No. Damn, it's like really hot today here. It's like 30 something, it's like 70 something degrees here where I'm at. And it's like, holy hell. And it feels like I'm literally like in hell right now. Just typing out some things here. Come. Do 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 do. Shit, it is so hot. So today's Thursday. I usually would say hope everybody's a great weekend and all that stuff, but today is Thursday, so there's really no reason like for me to say that. Like, thank you very much. Happy Thursday to you too. I am. Let's get rid of that. All right. Happy Thursday. Today, the 26th. I wish I had a fan in here, but I really don't. I figured that it'd be a lot warmer, or not a lot colder, but it isn't, of course, because nothing ever goes like nothing. The weather doesn't go the way I expected almost ever. So yeah, it isn't good. It's really hot, but we'll get through it because there is a show that's going on, and I'm expected to do it. So let's get to it. So thank you very much for watching. Give me if you haven't already, please like, please subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps me out quite a bit. And excuse me, adjust this a little bit. All right, there we go. So, oh, let me actually do this though. I actually forgot to do this. Hold on.
Who are these people?
All right, there we go. So let me start with that. Let's go to that. Perfect. Let me do that. Let's do that. Can't. Let's do that. There we go. So I'm just gonna start out with this. I'll be with everybody till 8:30, around there before I wrap up. So let's do this. The U.S. is worried that news outlets are broadcasting too much propaganda. No, they mean other countries' news outlets. So, yep, U.S. asked Qatar to tone down Al Jazeera, according to Axios. Oh, great. The United States is worried about propaganda that goes against them. Of course it does. Let's do this. Let's share that. Let's see. Whoops. U.S. asked Qatar to tone down Al Jazeera. Influencing the network would show Doha's change of heart about Hamas. Let's get rid of that. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has asked the Qatari government to change its relationship with Hamas, starting with the way Al Jazeera reports on the Israel-Gaza conflict. Axios reported on Wednesday. Blinken reportedly revealed this to a group of American Jewish community leaders on Monday, according to three people who attended the meeting and spoke with the outlet. The U.S. diplomat visited Doha on October 13th, just after days after Hamas incursion into Israel triggered the latest escalations of hostilities in the Middle East. During the visit, according to Axios sources, Blinken asked the Qatari government to change its public posture towards Hamas. As one example of this, how could this as one example of how this could be done, he reportedly said they could turn down the volume on Al Jazeera's coverage because it is full of anti-Israel incitement. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't have anti-Israel incitement. You can have anti-Muslim or anti-Arab incitement all day long. That's perfectly fine. Anti-Israel incitement? Nope, that's not allowed. Not allowed under any circumstances. Blinken did not offer any examples of the rhetoric he wanted toned down. The State Department declined to comment on his reported remarks. The Qatari Foreign Ministry did not respond to Axios' request for comment, and neither has Al Jazeera. Israel has accused the Doha based network of being a propaganda mouthpiece for the Palestinian militant group and has been looking at banning the channel. Yeah, by the way, the supposed only democracy in the Middle East is looking to ban channels that don't go along with their narrative. Very similar to what's going on in Ukraine. Ukraine allegedly is a real democracy, but they ban political parties. They ban news outlets that goes against their narrative. So, but somehow, these are real democracies. Because they like banning media outlets that don't go against their narrative, kind of like the U.S. did with RT. U.S. banned RT and banned what's the other network they banned? Why am I? Why I'm losing? I what was the network's name? The one from Venezuela. Oh God, I'm losing. I'm forgetting right now what it's actually called. I subscribe to them. Oh, Telesur. That's right. Never mind. It's Telesur. I remember now. They banned funding for RT and for Telesur. So yeah, but real democracy shut down media voices. They don't. They don't encourage. They don't encourage more media outlets. They encourage less. That's what real democracies do. The government is working on something, Israel's foreign ministry spokesman Lior Hayat, butchered that name, but whatever, told the Jerusalem Post this week or last week. The idea is if they are crossing the line in assisting Hamas, we can shut down the entire channel. With no evidence whatsoever, they're allowed to shut down that channel because they're not going to have any evidence that Al Jazeera is assisting Hamas, whatever that means. Meanwhile, the White House has relied on Qatar's relationship with Hamas to negotiate the release of some of the hostages taken on October 7th. Blinken stated he was deeply appreciative of the role Qatar is playing in freeing American captives amid their release last week, according to an unnamed State Department official speaking in a background briefing. At least 1,400 Israelis were killed and thousands more were injured during the Hamas incursion. West Jerusalem responded by declaring war on a Palestinian group and launching artillery and airstrikes against Gaza. Al Jazeera has stated that its bureau chief in Gaza, while that name there, lost his wife, son, and daughter and grandson what it claims to be an Israeli airstrike on Wednesday. Yeah, so there you go. Yep. So we have the U.S. asking out Qatar to tone down Al Jazeera in their allegedly anti-Israel stance. Meanwhile, it's okay for corporate media here in the U.S. to be pro Israel and pro Zionism. It's perfectly fine. The U.S. will not ask corporate media to do that, but they'll ask Al Jazeera to tone down his anti-Israel push. So yeah, so good, nice double standard there coming from the U.S. Excuse me. Had to get some water. So yeah. So yep. So we got hypocrisy. Let's get rid of that. Okay. We got hypocrisy. We got. Sorry. So let's play this. I'm not gonna play this, in fact, because it does have music. So I don't want to have a chance of getting my channel copyright striked, or any other channel that I'm streaming from. So I'm not going to take that chance. This is RT again. New before and after satellite images show what's left of Gaza, or more specifically, what isn't. So I wanted to show this. Make sure it's muted. Let's do that. All right, so let's play this real quick. This is Gaza. So this says new before and after satellite images show what's left of Gaza, or more specifically, what isn't. So this is I'm not there's actual music to this. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it with sound because I don't want to risk a copyright strike going into the channels I'm streaming from. So let's watch the before and after. Gaza Strip devastation shown in satellite images. You can see there. That's the before, I guess. And this is after. Okay, I get it. So you see the devastation there. That's before, and that's after. Okay, so I want people to see this and understand this because this is not a war at this point. It just isn't. It's not. It's not like It's a war. Usually, you would fight each other. You wouldn't. This is like purposely targeting civilian structures. Like, let's go back to the beginning here. Because all of these are not Hamas. They're not Hamas buildings. They're not where Hamas is hiding. That's an absurd talking point. Like, oh well, Hamas is everywhere in Gaza. We have to bomb the shit out of everything because they're everywhere. They're in hospitals. They're in schools. They're in apartment buildings. They're everywhere. So we have to bomb the shit out of everything. Just absurd. That's such an absurd standard to have. Like, well, because we think terrorists are there, even though we have no evidence terrorists are actually there, but because we think so, we get to bomb the shit out of the entire area and take out whole apartment buildings and kill everybody. So that's the standard. So this is not a war. This is just the destruction of a entire city or area. Look at that. It's just destruction. It's just wanton destruction. It's carnage. This is another example. Looks like another neighborhood in Gaza. And look what it is today. Just complete destruction. This is another part of Gaza. Boom. It looks like a nuke went off there. Look how horrible that is. There's another part. It's not the last part before the video ends. Boom. And again, it looks like a nuke fell on it, like Hiroshima. And whoops, didn't mean to do that. Yep. So, oh god, uh, it's not a war. Thank you, social emotional learning with Dr. Donnie. Yeah, thank you. Like your room. I love stuffed animals. Yeah, those aren't really mine, but okay, I put them there because people tend to like them. So yeah, it's not a war. Social. No, it's not. Sula Moon says is an extermination. Yep, that's what I said last week, and that's what I've been saying on Twitter. Not last week. I didn't stream last week. The week before, and on Twitter, I've been saying that, or X, whatever it's called. I'm sure Elon Musk gets mad every time I call it Twitter, or anybody calls it Twitter. But whatever, it doesn't really bother me that much. I wanted to play this too, but apparently this video isn't from recently. This is from a few years ago when U.S. troops landed in I forget where exactly, but this isn't recent video, or at least allegedly what I saw. It says hundreds of U.S. military personnel have arrived in Israel. Yeah, but later I see that this isn't. Where was this? This is not in Israel. This is somewhere else in the world, and this is from a few years ago. This video, so I don't know how correct this is. So I don't want to go too far into this and reporting this. This I will though. This I will though. Wonton sound better than wanton destruction. Oh, wontons are pretty good. So this I definitely want to get to. And this is not the only time I've seen this where TikTokers or Israeli TikTokers in particular are mocking Palestinians. But this is like the most recent example of this. A trend that swept TikTok where Israelis mock the appearance of Palestinians. The fact that they have no electricity, even and some even compare them to dogs. Many of these videos also show parents making their kids take part in the trend. Now this is disgusting. No music. Imagine for a second you're looking at this. What does this look like? This looks like when a white American mocks a black person. Wait, look at the teeth. Look at the teeth. Look at the turban, whatever that is, or I forget what that thing is called. But it looks like straight up when a white American mocks a black man, or white Americans mock black people in general. That's what all these clips look like to me, and it's just so beyond gross. Look at this. Yeah, it looks like I'll play it. It's like 15 seconds, but look at this. Look at that. The bad teeth. That one where the Palestinian comes out of a doghouse like they're dogs. This again, more examples of this where they have the bad teeth and the unibrow. Apparently, Palestinians have unibrows. I don't know about that. They're involving their kids in this and this racist acts here. More bad teeth. See that this is imagine if white Americans did this to black people on TikTok. What would happen? Oh, they'd be kicked off of TikTok. They'd be called racist. They'd be canceled instantly. But because Israelis do it, it's perfectly acceptable. In fact, it's even like even TikTok even keeps it up. They don't take it down. They don't take it down for obvious racism and violations of their terms of service because I'm sure that racist videos like this would be against TikTok's terms of service. But because they're Israeli, they get away with racism. They get away with everything because they're Israeli. So nobody can go against Israel. Nobody. So if you take down some Zionist videos, you'll be the TikTok will be canceled instead of these Israelis canceled. But yeah, look at that. Say race, bad teeth. Mocking him coming out of dog houses. Yeah, using kids for your racism. Like, imagine if the Ku Klux Klan did this to their children. They put up videos on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, doing this, like, having fried chicken and having whatever. What's the stereotypical black person thing, or wearing do rags and stuff and making fun of black people. Imagine how that would go over on these social media platforms. It wouldn't. They would be instantly censored. They'd be instantly canceled because they're all racist. But this is okay. This type of racism okay as long as it doesn't involve white Americans and black people. It's okay. As long as this type of racism is perfectly acceptable if it comes from Zionists in Israel. Anybody else racist? No. No, 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 no. White Americans can't be racist at all, because they're fucked. They'll not only be canceled from social media, they're gone. So, yep. Let's see. Oh, this is another one. Okay, this is the other one I was talking about. Another video of Israelis mocking Palestinians in Gaza for not having water and electricity. So this is the other one. No music. I'm not risking strikes. So the amount of videos I'm seeing where Palestinian victims are being mocked for their suffering by Israeli civilians is scarily disturbing. Humanity has failed so many. So this is another example. No music. Fucking hell. So yeah, and there's no water, uh, no electricity, no water. But it's perfectly acceptable for Israelis to do this because I have some theories on why everybody lets Israelis just get away with this. But all right, yep, that's what they do, Doctor Donnie. I mean, they find out they know they have no water, and what do? They just say, "Yeah, I'm gonna mock you because we have the water. We have water, and you don't." You not only do you get to have no electricity, not only do you get to have no internet, not only we will blow up your homes, but we will also mock you for it because Israelis think they are these Zionists at least think they're God's chosen people. So because God chose them, now it's okay for them by definition to say, well, I mean, we get to mock you. You're God. We're God's chosen people, not you. And you are living in what we call the Holy Land. So Jerusalem and Israel in general, the country which is now Israel, is the Holy Land. So we get to steal all of your land. We get to steal your houses, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it because the United States fully backs us, and they'll always back us no matter what. Did you guys see that clip of Netanyahu in the 80s talking about how the US will never dare to stand up to him or stand up to Zionists? Because I saw it on Twitter earlier and I meant to save it, but I forgot. Netin. Here we go. Hope I can find it again. Because I meant to save it and I forgot. So I saw it on Twitter earlier today. But didn't save it because I didn't have time. It was busy today, so she's probably from Brooklyn. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, a lot of these people are. Where is that clip? Why? Because I should have saved it, but I didn't. Nah, shoot. I should have saved that clip. But yeah, I mean, there's a clip of Netanyahu being interviewed here in the United States in the 80s, talking about how talking about how the U.S. will never stand up to them, and how the U.S. would do exactly what Israel tells them. Let's see. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to this in a minute, but hold on a second. I gotta find that clip. I gotta find that clip, so just bear with me 1 second. Let me see. Is this it? This, I don't think that's it, but I haven't been on Twitter for a month or two. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could, not be on Twitter, but since I kind of started doing this full time now, so I need to be on Twitter a lot more than I would like to be, or X, whatever the fuck it's called now. No, this is not it. Shoot. Think. Yeah, I mean, I can't find it right now, and maybe if I find it next week, I'll play it, but I have to save it next time. Because I didn't save it because I didn't have time for it, so because I had a busy day today, and quite frankly, and I just didn't get a chance to save what I saw it very briefly on Twitter. Somebody tweeted it out. I don't remember who it is, but so yeah, this is the next story I'm going to do. And this is the more perfect union tweeted this out. In today's earning call with defense firm Raytheon, a Wall Street analyst noted Israel's war as an opportunity that fits quite nicely with the company's portfolio. Raytheon execs and agreed they'll see a benefit on top of what we think is going to be an increase in DoD's budget. Department of Defense, by the way. So
Christine.
so let's see. It's like a 3 minute clip, and then a little bit more here. So Raytheon not thinks, they know that they'll see a benefit. In other words, more profits, because they know that there's going to be an increase in DoD's budget, because they know that they have the administration fully in their pocket. So, yeah, they know, and they're very excited. Wall Street's very excited about this increase in profits, not only for Raytheon but all defense contractors. So, let's watch this or listen to it.
Christine Liwag of Morgan Stanley.
So, this chick is from Morgan Stanley, Christine Luiag of Morgan Stanley. She's going to talk now. And she's going to talk about how great how great this business opportunity is for Raytheon, and the Raytheon execs are going to agree. So let's listen to her first.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning, Christine.
So maybe moving to a defense question. The White House is requesting $106 billion in supplemental spending for a number of national security priorities, which includes over $50 billion in investment for the U.S. defense industrial base. Looking at this request, you've got equipment for Ukraine, air and missile defense for Israel, and replenishment of stockpile for both. And this seems to fit quite nicely with the Raytheon defense portfolio. So how much of this opportunity is addressable to the company? And if the dollars are appropriated, when would be the earliest you could see this convert to revenue?
All right, Christine, let me start on that. So, as I think I mentioned earlier in the conversation,
hey, Wall Street is licking their chops at the profits that they're going to see from in the defense industry. They're all super excited. Like, look at Morgan Stanley exec. He's like, oh, dude, we're going to make so much fucking money. It's crazy. Now, the question is, how quickly can we make that money once the funds are appropriated by Congress? How quickly can we turn that into profits? So please let me know that so I can appropriately invest in Raytheon and all these defense contractors. So now this is a Raytheon executive, I would assume, who's talking now.
We've seen about $3 billion of orders so far related to Ukraine.
$3 billion of orders related to Ukraine and replenishment. $3 billion. So that money is going from Washington to Kyiv, allegedly, back to the defense contractors' pockets. So, or what they're doing, Ukraine is doing, is probably keeping a lot of that money too for their elite. That's a whole nother scandal. And as well, we see Ukraine selling weapons to Hamas. Yeah. So that's another really brilliant thing, by the way. So U.S. weapons are ending up in the hands of Hamas, allegedly. But somehow, the defense contractors don't give a fuck because they're there to make money. They don't care where their weapons or their tanks or missile defense systems or missile guidance systems end up, because ultimately they got the cash. So that's all they care about.
Ukraine replenishment, and that's really replenishing U.S. war stocks. We expect another $4 billion of orders in the next 2 years. And most of that will play out over the next 24 to 36 months.
So most of the profits are expected to be turned over the next 24 to 36 months. So 2 to 3 years. At least that's what I'm understanding here.
In terms of delivery. So you won't see a big revenue pop even next year from this.
Okay.
As we think.
Yeah, right. That's what I assumed it was. So most of the revenue / profits won't be seen until 2 to 3 years from now.
About this next tranche, the president's $100+ billion request, which is more than $40 billion for Ukraine. What you're going to see is the same things that we have been seeing, but in much higher quantities. So obviously, NASAM systems, which is the short-range air defense system.
NASAM, short-range air defense system. Okay.
And the AMRAAM munitions that we're using there, we're going to see those orders pick up, we would think, significantly. The same is true with the Patriot air defense system. Again, those are GEM-T missiles that we supply for that. Those are in short supply today. So again, big ramp there. But you're also going to see other weapon systems come into play, specifically around countering the unmanned air vehicles. And we have systems today like the Coyote, which is very effective in terms of short range dealing with these unmanned air vehicles. So again, I think really across the entire Raytheon portfolio, you're going to see a benefit of this restocking on top of what we think is going to be an increase in the DoD top line. Again, as we continue to replenish war stocks and also replenish some of the fleet in the Pacific. So that's SM-2s, SM-3s, and other munitions that are really a huge part of this backlog that we've got today.
Thanks, Greg. And how do we think about the margin profile of these incremental opportunities? Are these new contracts margin accretive?
I would no.
Yeah, this is all Wall Street corporate talk, and my eyes are glazing over. But you get the point. You know, I mean, they're giddy. They cannot wait until this money's approved and appropriated so they can make all the money they can possibly make off of this. So they cannot fucking wait. I mean, the rest of this is just Wall Street corporate gibberish, but let's go. You get the point. I don't need to keep playing that. Across the Raytheon portfolio, you're going to see the benefits of this restocking. This is what we already they pretty much discussed there. So yeah, basically they're looking to make as much money as possible. And what did I just see? Oh, Celia Moon says, how are you going to enjoy all these profits without livable planet? They'll go underground. B, because the government has built out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of tunnels under us right now, especially in the bigger cities like Washington and stuff like that. They built out a ton of tunnels, which we're assuming there's a ton of bomb shelters and old shelters, so they can go in those shelters while the rest of us are fucked. So that's what's going on here. So or they'll fuck off to Mars, some people say, or they'll go to the moon. So I'm sure that the elites will be fine. Even if they cause a nuclear war, a lot of them will survive anyways. Because according to most elites, most of us are useless eaters anyways. So yeah, I don't think World War III will happen because ultimately there's too much money to be made off a long term war. But still, I mean, is it possible it could happen? Sure. I'm not going to sit here and say no, it's not going to happen, but yeah, I mean, it very likely won't happen because they're looking at long-term profits off this, not just temporary profits and blow us all up and we all die. No, that's not what they want. They want long-term profits off of this war. Mm. And Raytheon and the other defense contractors are going to be very excited about this. So you're looking at something called if you guys have played your video games and played Metal Gear Solid, I've talked about this before. But you're looking at what's called the war economy, which is what we are in right now. The war economy, and which right now we are basically without wars, we're a lot of people lose their jobs, and there's going to be a lot of more people, going hungry and going right now. So the war economy is real and we are having it right now. Didn't we all get an emergency alert test? They can't control war. No, it wasn't as the beginning of the month when they did that testing. I remember that. It just happened recently. Uh yeah, let me highlight this. Hey, I heard Israeli people saying this whole thing was an inside job. Netanyahu wanted to keep his career. Well, I mean, there are multiple ways I've heard that. One, he was told, and Netanyahu was warned by the Egyptian intelligence, even though later I have read it wasn't really true. But this is the way I initially heard it: that Netanyahu was alerted by Egyptian intelligence, and he did nothing. So he allowed the attack to happen. Very similarly, that the U.S. allowed 9/11 to happen in order to justify the war on terror and the invasions of the Middle East. So I recently later read that that wasn't true. But even if that's not true, there's other ways it could have happened. He could have been informed by Mossad, his own intelligence agency, and he did nothing either. He just allowed it to happen, or it was an inside job, which these are false flag operations. So there's multiple ways that Netanyahu could have done this in order to save his own power, because ultimately he seemed to be not as popular as he once was. Obviously, Sean Miller says, "I don't hate Jews. I hate the Zionist Party." Oh, so do I. I mean, there's a common for me at least. I've gotten people who claim that I hate Jews and like, no, I don't. I hate Zionism. There's a difference. I mean, not every Jewish person is a Zionist. So Zionists have taken that and basically said, well, they connected Zionism to Judaism. So if you hate Zionism, you have to hate Judaism too. So it's absurd, but that's the standard they set. Joe says, I wonder why nobody mentions Israel's attack on America. Israel sunk a American ship and killed 34 service members in 1967.
In the morning of
I did not even know about this. This is how the USS Liberty, I did not even know about this. So this is deliberately attacked by Israel on June 8th, 1967. The 75-minute attack killed 34 American sailors and wounded 174, a false flag to blame Egypt. So I did not even know this has happened, and thought I thought that and I thought I knew a lot about history, but I guess not. Hey, Cookies, long time no see on my stream. Appreciate you coming in here and hanging out for me. Hanging out with me for a bit. So let's watch this. The USS Liberty. I didn't even know this happened until I saw this tweet.
My name is Wayne Stiles. I was the co-pilot on the first rescue helicopter to reach the USS Liberty on the morning of June 9th. We had flown from the USS America. When we arrived at the ship that morning, there was no place to land. The ship was so destroyed that we had to hover at 25 feet and bring wounded up on the hoist cable. So we sent a crewman down to be on deck and to make sure they got into the apparatus correctly, and then we brought them up to the helicopter and they evacuated them back to the USS America. While I was hovering, I was watching the instruments for the pilot, and also watching, because the hoist was right outside of my window on the helicopter, and in the forward gun tub where there was a machine gun's emplacement, blood was sloshing back and forth in the bottom of that. And I later learned from our crewman back at the America that he had been told that 2 or 3, I don't remember which, 2 or 3 crews had been machine gunned to death trying to man that 50 caliber and fight back against the Israelis. So it was quite a shocking day for me, being a little farm boy from Western Connecticut.
There's also ample evidence President Lyndon Johnson administration actively covered up the attack to protect Israel.
The bridge of the ship was completely gone. There was just holes everywhere, all over the ship. So it was quite a shock. And we completed our mission. And there was another helicopter squadron aboard, they had larger helicopters than us. They were the anti-submarine warfare helicopters, and they figured they could carry a lot more people per trip than we did. So they kind of took over the evacuation in the afternoon. So that's my...
So there you go. The USS Liberty was attacked on June 8th, 1967. It's because now, as you guys notice, the U.S. have now sent another warship to that part of the world. And if history repeats itself again and that warship gets attacked again, I tend to think that the administration is going to use that as justification for a bigger war. Very similar to what they did at the Gulf of Tonkin before Vietnam, if you remember. Lyndon Johnson was also president when this happened. No, yes, he was. I'm pretty sure he was. And it was a false flag. Hell, it wasn't even an attack. It was just straight up made up by the U.S. in order to justify its long-term war in Vietnam. So history keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. And we see another example of it here because the U.S. has now sent another warship. I forget what warship name right now, but out to Israel in that area in particular. So I'm not sure they're looking for another attack or what, but it just seems weird to me that this is like continuing to go on here. All right, so this is from a few days ago, but we got a pissed off this is who is this? This is some kind of Israeli official here. Oh, ambassador, head of the palace. Okay, I know what this is. Not an Israeli official. It says the tide is turning. It scares the authoritarians, but anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together in a modicum of compassion and logic can see what's truly going on here. So let's watch this.
On the last 48 hours, though, do you support what Hamas launched on Saturday morning?
Well, this is not the right question, Louis. Really, the right
It's
question.
an important question.
No, it is not an important question because
whether you support their action or not is an important question.
No.
Again, that's a classic like liberal talking point. You know, they demand that everyone denounce Hamas for their attack on Israel. Again, it's like they have to get that like they have to get whatever guests they have when they defend the Palestinians. They have to get that guest to defend and not defend, but denounce Hamas's attack. Like that's like the first thing that has to be done, or not, then people won't be taken seriously. And a lot, it's not just the corporate, it's not just media, it's not just like corporate media or establishment media. It's a lot of like these online left like media people, or the professional left or whatever. They, before they even go to defend the Palestinians, the first thing they do every single solitary time is to denounce Hamas for their attack. Like that's like a given. Like you have to say that, because if you don't say that, then by definition you're not, you're just defending Hamas, and Hamas are terrorists and they're terrible people, and we have to denounce them. It's like automatic, that you have to do it every single time, or else then you're not taken seriously. By definition, you aren't taken seriously. So I do have an example of that, of one of our own doing that, or somebody in this space doing that quite regularly. I should have probably pulled this up before, but it doesn't matter, because let's let's play a little bit more of this.
No, it is not an important question. Hamas is a group, is a militant group. You're talking with the Palestinian representative. Our position is very well known and clear.
And what is that? Do you support Hamas's action?
And then you
That's the third time he's asked him that ridiculous question.
you cannot equate. This is not about support or not support. I am here to represent my people, the Palestinian people, what they are going through. I'm not here to condemn anybody. And if anybody that needs to be condemned, it's what you call the only democracy in the Middle East, that is Israel, between parentheses, that is doing what you have just reported, targeting civilians. And this has not just happened the last 48 hours.
Hamas was just targeting Palestinians, but you won't condemn that.
No.
I'll tell you one thing.
I won't condemn it, at least.
I'll tell you one thing. Hamas is not the Palestinian government, okay? The Israeli government is giving orders for its organized army. So please don't draw any symmetry here. Don't equate. There is no way you can draw any symmetry. And don't equate between the occupied and the occupier. This doesn't serve justice to understand for your audience and viewers the real situation. Since Israel's establishment, it has had one military doctrine. When it fights, it goes and fights civilians, kill civilians, so they pressure the fighters. Since 1948, and go back to the record, and this has been repeated in Gaza and will continue to be repeated. So the conversation...
It's the same thing. You have to condemn Hamas. You have to condemn them first, before any conversation is anything else about defending the Palestinians. You have to condemn Hamas. Do you condemn Hamas? Like, you have to do that instantly. Like, you just do. You have to condemn Hamas. You just have to. Because if you don't, then nobody can take you seriously as a serious political commentator on the left. You have to condemn Hamas, according to like the professional left, like this person here, like this person here, you have to defend Hamas, or not. I'm sorry, exact opposite. You have to condemn Hamas. So I'm not going to play this whole video, but it perfectly encapsulates what I'm saying, what Kyle says here. By the way, he's in his bed, and it's very annoying. People make videos while laying in their bed. It's like one of my pet peeves. Like, if you're going to make a video, like, just do it, in your kitchen table or something like that. Like, your bedroom is like your sanctuary. That's where, you go to sleep. That's where you do your stuff with your girlfriend or wife. You don't make political videos on there after you're done with your wife. It's like completely absurd. Like, just go to your kitchen, just go to your office. You don't have to lay up in bed like you're some kind of lazy fuck. But but I digress. That's just my pet peeve there. But let's watch.
There's no ethics. And I understand that the Israel lobby is powerful, and I understand there's a lot of campaign contributions that get handed out, but really, you can't bring yourself, even in a moment like this, to maybe we were better off when they weren't, because to continue the slaughter. And look, Bernie too. Bernie came out and said we need a humanitarian pause. Humanitarian pause? In other words, you're okay with them going right back to bombing after they deliver a couple more trucks of aid? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Ceasefire is the way forward. Ceasefire is powerful, and I understand there's a lot of campaign. 90%. And at this point...
Did I clip the wrong video?
Humanitarian pause. In other words, they need their own state. You have to end the fire, and then for the love of God, do something.
I'm not going to subject you guys too much to him. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these people on the professional left constantly, you have to denounce Hamas, you have to denounce them, you have to denounce them. I'm like, why? Why do I have to do anything? Let's go back to this video. But why do I have to do anything? Because I don't have to do anything. Like, who am I? Some random dude here that lives in New Jersey in his home, in his shitty little apartment, to tell Hamas or to tell the Palestinians how to resist their oppressors. Like, who am I to tell them that? Like, hey guys, by the way, in order to make me feel better, make me sleep better at night, you have to peacefully resist the Israelis or the Zionists. You cannot use violence, because it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad as an American that you're using violence instead of peacefully doing like Martin Luther King did. They all weaponized Martin Luther King's peace against the Palestinians. Like, oh, you must do what Martin Luther King did, back during the civil rights era. You have to do it like that. That's the way to do it, because it makes us feel better. The white liberal establishment, and it makes us feel better. It makes the Kyle Kalinskis feel better. It makes the Crystal Balls feel better. It makes the Anna Kasparians feel better. It makes Sam Cedar feel better. It makes Emma Vigeland feel better. It makes anybody in that space, it makes them feel better, because that way they don't have to see the brutal violence that war is. Instead, they see peaceful protesting, and that's how they like it. They don't want the realities of what Israel is doing, in their face, because that makes them very, very, very uncomfortable, because they don't want to be attacked either by, people that are underneath them in their heads. So they want calm protest. Yeah, keep protesting. Keep going to the UN, Palestinians. Keep going to the UN. Keep having them vote to make a state for you. So nothing actually ever happens, and there's no change. And just please don't do violence. Just don't do violence. Whatever you do. I'm tired of hoping I'm making sense. You are making sense. Got 4 hours of sleep last night, going to bed, almost your bedtime. Yeah, I mean, here in the East Coast, it's almost 8 o'clock. So unless you go to bed early, I go to bed late most nights. So let's play a little bit more of this. Yeah, I have time.
It's not a blame game. I am not in the business of blaming the victim here. The real conversation is, how do we stop this vicious, deadly cycle?
You just condemned Israel for killing civilians, and you won't condemn Hamas for killing civilians.
How many times you have interviewed Israeli officials, Louise?
4, and that's the 4th time now. He's like, you have to condemn Hamas. Like, he doesn't do dick. I mean, because you want him to condemn Hamas to make you feel better. It's not because he actually has to do it. It's like, make me feel better. Condemn Hamas, please.
Hundreds of times. How many times Israel have committed war crimes right live on your own cameras? Do you start by asking them to condemn themselves? Have you? You don't. No, I'll answer that question. You don't. You know why I refuse to answer this question? Because I refuse the premise of it. Because at the very heart of it is misrepresentation of the whole thing. Because it's the Palestinians that are always expected to condemn themselves. I mean, come on, this is a political conflict. We have been denied our rights for a long time. So this is the wrong starting point. The right starting point is to focus on the root causes, is to try and get out of this extreme dark tunnel, as opposed to this business by BBC and the mainstream media for 75 years. You bring us here whenever there are Israelis who are killed. Did you bring me here when many Palestinians in the West Bank, more than 200 over the last few months, Do you invite me when there is such Israeli provocations in Jerusalem and elsewhere? Because Israel, what Israelis have seen, which we started by saying tragic, the last 48 hours, the Palestinians see every day for the last 50 years. You know the situation in Gaza, you've just described it. This is the biggest open air presence. Those people, 2 million, have been taken hostage by Israel for the last 16 years. So I'm saying this just to say, Louise, perhaps this is about time we abandon this rhetoric, very dangerous, this framework, and we start giving people the real ugly truth sometimes.
What is the solution in your eyes?
International law. That's it.
What does that mean?
The equal application of international resolutions and law and legitimacy, as you did in Ukraine. Would you bring the Ukrainian ambassador here and start asking him to condemn if some of his fighters? We need to fully and
No,
equally.
they wouldn't, because they know where their bread is buttered. There's no way they would have on the Ukrainian ambassador to ask them, "Hey, Nazis, your Nazi military did horrible crimes and stuff against ethnic Russians. How do you denounce and reject that?" Like they would never dare do that. The BBC, they would never dare even do that.
Equally apply the rules that were created by the League of Nations after the horrors of the Second World War. We need to make sure that Israel is not the exception. It has been for the last 75 years. We need to make sure that nobody is above the law. Britain is renowned, Louise, for the rule of law. I think that's the solution. Israel is an occupying force. It is responsible to provide protection for the people under its occupation. 100%. And should they commit crimes and crimes against humanity in the coming hours and weeks, it must be held accountable by the international community.
That's true.
And the international
but it
judicial
won't be.
system.
Sam Zomlot, thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you.
Yep, that's it. But yeah, it's 100% true. I mean, but they won't be held accountable because the U.S. won't allow it. I mean, we're a part of the UN Security Council, a permanent member, and we have veto power alongside with China, Russia, United States, and Great Britain and France. Those are the 5 countries that have veto power. We will veto anything that holds Israel accountable for anything, or tries to at least, because the United States will never allow it, because Israel fully controls Washington, at least when it comes to issues involving Israel. But yeah, that's the most recent updates on the Israel war, on the Israel-Gaza conflict, war, whatever you want to call it, extermination, whatever name you want to use for that. Excuse me. So the Republicans, let me move on real quick. The Republicans have elected a new speaker. He's literally a man I never heard of before until now. So he's his name is Mike Johnson, I believe. Yeah, Mike Johnson, and he's arguably one of the biggest. You would assume. I had no idea who this guy is, and apparently he's very extremist and very right wing. And yeah, the Bucks are winning by 10, so I just noticed that. Thank you. And Damian Lillard and Giannis and the Bucks are up by 10, of course. So I wonder if James Harden playing in that game. I don't think so, because he just arrived, he just reported to 76ers camp or the team. But I digress, I mean, that's sports. But this is shocking extremist, according to our bedridden YouTuber Kyle Kalinske here. So he's shocked that they elected a Republican speaker, an extremist, according to him. So let's see how extremist he really is.
All right, guys, so the Republicans have officially picked a new speaker. His name is Mike Johnson. He looks like an AI-created Republican. He sounds like an AI-created Republican. And his positions are horrendous. So I wanted to run through them here for you. So listen to this. He's a young Earth creationist. So he thinks the world is 6,000 years old, which means he's like a hardcore evangelical Christian.
Yeah, I don't care.
True Kool-Aid drinking believer.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm around plenty of Christians and evangelicals. My church the church I go to isn't evangelical, but there's a lot of, being evangelical basically means believing in the book of Revelations and end times prophecies. So that's basically what an evangelical actually is. I don't go to evangelical church, but but I really don't care that the Speaker of the House is now is a extremist Republican who believes in creationism and believes in end time prophecies. Like, that's not something I care about. But so far, this is shocking, for according to our bedridden YouTuber here.
He wants to ban all gay marriage. More on that in a minute. He wants to ban all abortion. Wants to cut
Yeah,
Medicaid.
you ain't banning gay marriage unless you overturn Obergefell or Obergefell, something like that. That should a Supreme Court decision. I'm butchering that name, but you get my point. You're not banning gay marriage in the United States. That's not happening. So again, I don't care about his opinion either on that.
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. He opposes minimum wage increases. He denies
Yeah, what do you say? I kind of
Social Security. He opposes
Yeah, he wants to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, just like every other goddamn Republican. So yeah, again, I don't care.
minimum wage increases.
He opposes a minimum wage increase, just like every other goddamn Republican. Like, which one? Name me a Republican who's pro increasing the minimum wage. Name one in the chat. Let me see. Name one, because as far as I know, not a single Republican has said yes, raise the minimum wage. So I don't care.
He denies man-made climate change. He voted.
Yeah, I question man-made. I question that too. But here's the thing. Here's my opinion on that. I think that climate change is happening. There's nothing we can do about it. No matter how many electric cars we buy, no matter how we go to clean energy or whatever, or we go to net zero with carbon emissions, whatever. Climate change is happening. Climate change is happening. We have to deal with it. We have to adapt. We have to adjust. We're not going to turn back climate change. We're just not going to. So we have to adjust as a society. I don't know how you do that. I'm open to ideas. I have a few ideas of my own, but we have to adjust. We have to adapt. Like, we can't, go around and say, well, if we go to net zero and if we put in more solar panels and wind turbines and get rid of fossil fuels, we can turn back climate change. That's not happening. That's not a thing. So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Let's continue. I don't care about Republican being against that either, because they're all against it.
Voted to overturn the 2020 election.
That's who gives a fuck. Again, that one I don't care. I definitely don't care about. In a democracy, you have the right to question election results. Guess who questioned the 2016 election results? Every single Democrat questioned the 2016 results when Trump won. It was okay then. But now 2020, you can't question Joe Biden's victory. You absolutely cannot question Joe Biden's victory. Hell, until just recently, you weren't allowed to question 2020 results on YouTube until very recently when they changed that policy. But yeah, I mean, come on. The Democrats questioned 2016 in the entire 4 years of Trump presidency. In fact, they openly said he was an illegitimate president. So yeah, so no, I don't give a shit about him trying to overturn 2020 results.
And he's proud of that fact. But in many ways, I think this guy is even worse than your average Republican because, so take the abortion issue. It's his position that abortion doctors should be locked up and have to serve time in a hard labor camp.
Are there any hard labor camps in the U.S.? We have prisons, but we don't have hard labor camps. So even if that's even this Republican's position, it's like a whoop-de-doo. Like, there are no hard labor camps in the United States, as far as I know. So yeah, so I don't know what he's talking about. Like, oh, that this guy is so extreme that he wants abortion providers to serve time in a hard labor camp. Isn't that horrible, guys? Except there are no hard labor camps. Excuse me.
If they perform an abortion. So we're really talking about one of the guys here, like, no exceptions whatsoever type stuff, like ban it from the moment of conception, no exceptions for rape or incest or life of the mother. lock up abortion doctors and make them do hard labor in a concentration camp. True psycho stuff. And on the gay marriage issue, so this is equally as crazy, if not more crazy.
Did I hear a second cough there? Hold on a second.
To make them do hard labor in a concentration camp. True psycho stuff. And on the gay marriage issue,
I did. There's like a like it's obvious that Crystal Ball is laying next to him in bed. And she must be like, what the fuck, man? This guy's making political videos while I'm trying to sleep. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he could. I'm not even going to go there because it might get, it might be an issue with YouTube censors. So I'd rather not go personal. What he does in bed, that's his business. But like Crystal Ball must be like, oh, come on, man. Just go to sleep. Stop making, you don't have to make a video every 5 seconds when something breaks. I'm not going to go there. Anything. I was going to go there, but I'm like, nah, YouTube censors are all the way out there lately. So let me not go there. Let's keep going.
So this is equally as crazy, if not more crazy. In the early 2000s, he penned an amicus brief to the Supreme Court, and it was on Lawrence. I think it was Lawrence versus Texas is the case, and basically they were deciding whether or not anti-sodomy laws are constitutional.
Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah, he filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I mean, he's in favor of keeping anti-sodomy laws in the United States. Whoop-de-doo. Again, that's his opinion. Just because he's that extreme doesn't mean, it's going to bother me that this guy is Speaker of the House now.
Anti-sodomy laws are basically like, we're going to ban oral and anal sex. We're going to ban gay sex in conservative states, even in the privacy of your own bedroom. And thankfully, the Supreme Court came out on the proper side of that, and they were like, yeah, it's really none of the government's business what you do behind closed doors in your bedroom. You're not hurting anybody. And this guy penned an amicus brief where he said to the Supreme Court, no, you should keep gay sex banned.
Wait. Yeah, anti-sodomy laws. Gay people aren't the only ones that do sodomy. Yeah, he just assumes that gay people are only people who does sodomy, and we all know what sodomy is. It's anal and oral. Gay people don't do aren't the only people doing sodomy. I mean, a lot of straight couples do it all the time too. So it's not just a gay thing. It's not. I mean, I don't know why he just assumes that it's a gay thing. Maybe he doesn't do it in his bed, which again, I'm not going to judge him, but I definitely do. And I would be against even if these laws were in effect. Like, who cares? I'm still going to do it. So what are you going to do? Put an officer in my bedroom? No, absolutely not. So even these laws are still in the books, which I'm in New Jersey, so they wouldn't be in the books. But let's say, I lived in Texas or Georgia or Mississippi, something like that, where these laws were in the books. I wouldn't give zero fucks. It doesn't affect me because they're not going to have a cop in my room while I do, sodomy. So, yeah, this is useless. This is just alarmist Kyle Kalinske having him trying to get his audience to melt down over an extremist new Speaker of the House.
So in other words, not only is he against gay marriage, so he's against equal rights on that front, he also truly believes that it should be illegal to have consensual gay sex in the privacy of your own home.
Again, it's not gay sex. Well, sodomy is not just for gay people. Plenty of straight couples do sodomy. Trust me. So it's not just gay sex. Maybe he doesn't like it, but that's on him. Whatever. I mean, I'm sure I like to receive and give oral. I'm just putting it out there. But I'm not going to be crude about it. But yeah, so, and I'm definitely not gay. So I don't know what Kyle's talking about. He wanted to ban gay sex. No, it's not just gay sex. It's sodomy. Everybody does it, or everybody who likes it does it. Let me phrase it that way.
Absolutely astonishing stuff, man. And look, I'll say the controversial part. There is literally nobody on earth who is this vehemently anti-gay who isn't also deeply in the closet.
Mm.
I think this dude.
Yeah, that's speculation. You can't prove that Mike Johnson is gay or bisexual. Like, you can't prove that. It's just pure speculation on his part. Just because other Republicans turn out to be gay or bisexual doesn't mean that Mike Johnson is gay or bisexual. So it's just speculation. It's ridiculous speculation. It's unfounded speculation because there's no evidence. It just seems saying, "Hey guys, I think because he wants to ban sodomy, he must be gay, right? Because he's having repressed feelings." I have no evidence for that, but that's the opinion that I'm giving here because I got nothing better to do but attack Republicans and smear them.
Dude dreams of gargling Dixon balls. I really do. Because how many times have we seen it with different Republican politicians or different televangelists and pastors?
I miss Fat Cookies. That was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. This is why he's so upset about this guy writing an amicus brief to make to keep the anti-sodomy legislation.
The loudest, most aggressive anti-gay voices are the ones who yearn for cock the most. So I think something might eventually come out on this guy, in fact. But look, he's as bad as it gets. Now, just stop and think about this fact. The Republicans were shopping all over the place for a new speaker. They went Scalise, and then they went Jordan, and then they went this guy Tom Emmer, and maybe McCarthy again with Jordan as his assistant, and they were looking and looking and looking. They couldn't find anybody they like. Who did they settle on? They settled on the guy who wants abortion doctors to do time in a hard labor camp and the guy who wants to criminalize all gay sex. This is...
sodomy isn't gay sex. It's not just gay sex. It's like, really, I mean, you may not like sodomy, which is fine, because he keeps insisting that sodomy is gay sex when it isn't. But it doesn't mean, but it's not. A lot of straight people do sodomy too. So just calling it gay sex is to me kind of eye rolling, because it's not just gay sex.
This is who they settled on, and a guy who wants to overturn the 2020 election. So we have gone to Kookyville, man. This is wild stuff, and there are going to be consequences to this, right? These are not people you can negotiate with or talk to. These aren't people who have any logic or rationality. So it's a mess, and I'm gonna talk in a second. I'm gonna do another segment here where
that's a very expensive wedding ring there. That's a very expensive wedding band. It looks like it costs a few $1,000s. I'm sure Crystal paid for it. I mean, there's no way this guy paid for that. But again, that's speculation, which I can't prove. But yeah, that's a really expensive wedding ring. I wouldn't buy a wedding ring like that. I would find one of those wedding bands that are, the ones you used to work out with, and they cost like $10 or $20. If I ever got married, that's what I would do, because I'm sure I'm going to get divorced at some point, because no woman's going to put up with me for 50 years or 30 years. I don't know. I'm 37 right now. I'm not sure I'm going to last 50 years, but let's say, 50 years. No, I'm not going to stay married 50 years. I'm probably get divorced. So I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars for a wedding band. It's absurd. But I digress. That doesn't matter much. Fearmonger Kyle. Perfect. Yep. Sula Moon. That's perfect. Oops. So what time is it? I got 15 more minutes before I wrap up. So... Oh, yeah, I know what I want to talk about. I just happened to remember that there was another mass shooting in the United States yesterday. There was another mass shooting in Maine this time where people died. I don't remember the number, but people died. People got wounded in Maine, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old thing that we see in the United States. So let me share my screen, actually. Let me do that. Sula Moon says, my husband's wedding band is from Walmart. We've been together 25 years. Well, that's great. I'm totally happy, for you. Hey, I mean, I wouldn't get a very expensive wedding band. That's great. 25 years, a long time. No, I don't know any woman put up with me that long, but I've been with my girlfriend like a year or something like that, a little bit more. And we don't live together, but once we do live together, I don't know how much longer she'll put up with me. But let's go back to Maine. The president of the United States sends, or somebody, whoever runs his account, send out this tweet, because I don't think the president can send out a tweet properly. Enough. I urge Republican lawmakers in Congress to fulfill their duty to protect the American people. Work with us to pass common sense gun reforms. This is the very least we owe every American who now will bear the scars, physical and mental, of this latest attack in Maine. So we got that, the same rhetoric we got from Obama, the same rhetoric we got from Trump. It's just the same standard thing. So now we have moms demand action. In the wake of the deadliest mass shooting this year in Lewiston, Maine, our nation's newly elected Speaker of the House said he is praying that the evil, can end. Americans want more than thoughts and prayers, Speaker Johnson. We want action. So let's take a look at the new speaker. I've never even heard his voice. I've never even seen his face until he was elected speaker. I'm like, who the fuck is this jabroni? He's the new speaker? Jeez, he looks like he's like literally a jabroni. I've never even heard of this guy until yesterday when he became speaker.
This is a dark time in America. We have a lot of problems, and we're really, really hopeful and prayerful. Prayer is appropriate in a time like this, that the evil can end and this senseless violence can stop. And so that's the statement this morning on behalf of the entire House of Representatives. Everyone wants this to end, and I'll leave it there.
There ain't gonna be legislation. Dick, that's the legislation. Nothing. The Republicans aren't gonna pass anything, no matter how much you try to shame them into doing legislation. So they're in charge of the House. They ain't passing shit. I mean, and they'll just say that just give you thoughts and prayers like they usually do. Susan Collins, representative, blah blah blah. In an emotional moment, Representative Jared Golden apologized for opposing an assault weapons ban, says now he'll support one, and asked his community for forgiveness in the wake of the horrific mass shooting in Maine. So now we got a Republican who's apparently is pro an assault weapons ban. So because for reasons like we've had so many mass shootings in this country with assault weapons or AR-15s, which a few years ago I got into a debate with a pro-gun person because at the time, not understanding the difference between an AR-15 and an assault weapon. So again, I'm not really a big gun person. I was arrogant then and try to like, oh no, AR-15 is definitely an assault rifle. Now I look back on it like, how stupid was I? But I don't know, So yeah, so let's see what this random Republican has to say.
Now we could be in full control, among many other misjudgments. I have opposed efforts to ban deadly weapons of war like the assault rifle used to carry out this crime. The time has now come for me to take responsibility for this failure, which is why I now call on the United States Congress to ban assault rifles like the one used by the sick perpetrator of this mass killing in my hometown of Lewiston, Maine. For the good of my community, I will work with any colleague to get this done in the time that I have left in Congress. To the people of Lewiston, my constituents throughout the 2nd District, to the families who lost loved ones, and to those who have been harmed, I ask for forgiveness and support as I seek to put an end to these terrible shootings. In the days to come, I will give everything I have to support this community's recovery.
So he represents the area he represents the area where the mass shooting took place, which is why he's apologizing. Like, I'm so sorry for opposing the assault weapons ban. I'll work with anybody in Congress in order to pass it now, which is not going to pass anyways, and he damn well knows it, which is why he's virtue signaling. There's no way that that any assault weapon ban will pass right now. Multiple FBI agencies are currently at the resident's home in Bowdoin, Maine, announcing FBI opened the door. A possible manhunt for Robert Card, the shooter, might be nearing his end. There are reports of explosions emanating from the house. So, okay. So, they're, excuse me. Blah, blah, blah. So this is a representative from Congress, or she's running for Congress. Democrat unseating Jim Jordan, Ohio mom, business owner, strong woman, fighting to protect all families, freedom, and fairness. Help me take down Jordan. So she's running against Jim Jordan. So she alleges something here, which is, let me see, breaking news. The main shooter had a Twitter account, and he visited my opponent's Jim Jordan Twitter page numerous times before he taking fire upon innocent civilians. Yeah, that's not. It's because he visited Jim Jordan's Twitter account doesn't mean that Jim Jordan, convinced him to do the shooting. It's ridiculous. This news is deeply concerning, as it suggests that the shooter may have been motivated by Jordan's rhetoric. Based on what, I don't know, but Jim Jordan is my political opponent, and I want to defeat him. Jordan has been known for his inflammatory statements and his support for Donald Trump. Yeah, he's a Republican. Of course, he supports Donald Trump. In the past, he's encouraged supporters to use violence against their opponents. When was that? You need a citation for that. You can't just say that. It is important to note that there is no evidence that Jordan directly incited the shooting. However, his rhetoric may have created a climate which violence is seen as acceptable. Based on what? She doesn't say, but that's another part where you need a citation. We need to hold their elected officials accountable for the rhetoric they use. Let's work together to create a more tolerant and inclusive society where violence is never the answer. It begins by addressing mental health crisis and voting for common sense gun safety. If Jordan refuses to be a part of that solution, then he is complicit in the problem. So this is her source on that, where allegedly he visited Jim Jordan's Twitter account. He also visited, let's see, whoops, sorry, bear with me 1 second. Let me do that. He visited Mark Cuban's Twitter account. He visited Speaker McCarthy's Twitter account. Dinesh D'Souza, CNBC, Benny Johnson, Tucker Carlson, Cat Turd 2, Hodge Twins, and Wokeness, Jim Cramer, Jim Jordan, Eli David, Elon Musk again, Joe Squawk, Jim Cramer, Elon Musk, Zuby Music, Elon Musk, Benny Johnson. That's Jordan Peterson. He visited his Twitter account. So Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk, Tim Rushney, Benny Johnson. Again, all these people guilty? By her logic, the answer is yes, because the shooter visited all their Twitter accounts. By her logic, Speaker McCarthy, Dinesh D'Souza, CNBC, Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump Jr., they're all guilty. They're all guilty of, going this mass shooting because the shooter visited all their Twitter accounts. So you see how absurd that standard is? He's like, the shooter visited Cat Turd and Jim Jordan and Elon Musk and CNBC and all these people, and somehow they're guilty. Jim Jordan's guilty. So by her logic, that must mean that all those people are guilty. Elon Musk, Cat Turd, who else did who he visit? Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. Zuby Music, Elon Musk, BBC World, Billy M2K, whoever that is, Cat Turd 2, Hodge Twins, and Wokeness. They're all guilty. I just, I wish that, somebody should tell them they're guilty by this logic. Hodge Twins, CNBC, Billy M2K, whoever that is, Dinesh D'Souza, Speaker McCarthy, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavericks, he's also guilty by her logic. So they're all guilty. I hope they know they're all guilty of this mass shooting, according to Tammy Wilson for Congress. Let's see. What about 5 more minutes? Newsom politicizes tragedy. That most Democrats do that. The terrorists who shoot people in Maine that kill 18 people. Hispanic build the wall, Arab ban Muslims, BLM are terrorists, white people, there's all blah, blah, blah. I don't really buy this too much. So I want to echo POTUS's statement on the tragic shooting in Maine and the epidemic of gun violence in general. This is not normal. We cannot accept it. It's within Congress's power to pass legislation that will make us all safer. They must act. It's the same rhetoric that we always hear. The same fucking rhetoric, and quite frankly, I don't care enough to play it because it's 3 minutes long and I can't stand her. Police and other agencies surrounded the home on Meadow Road in Bowdoin, Maine. And here's our intercom announcing Robert Card, you're under arrest. We know you're inside. Please come out with your hands up. We don't want anybody to get hurt. There's the police. I can't hear what the guy in the bullhorn is saying. Come out to the front door with your hands up, I guess he's saying. We know you're inside the residence, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Come outside to the with your hands up. We already played that. President Biden with more nonsense about how we must pass bills, which will never get passed, so it's kind of pointless. A bullet from an assault weapon or a block can travel triple the speed of sound. It liquefies tissue and vaporizes bone. It destroys children's faces. Last year, 99% of Republicans voted no to banning war weapons like the one used last night in Maine. Only 2 Republicans voted in favor of it. 208 voted against. I guess, of course, it failed. Because Republicans are against assault weapon bans. And they will still continue to be against it, even no matter how many mass shootings happens. So before I wrap up, is that Marcy Gray? I don't know. It may be because I went through it quickly. But before I wrap up, this is the usual script, and I'll explain it here. Democrats, a mass shooting happens. Everyone jumps on Twitter or on their YouTube channel and TikTok, whatever. Democrats will say it's the guns. We must ban assault weapons, and we must do common sense gun reform, whatever that means. Then you have Republicans who say, no, it's not the assault weapons. No, it's not guns. People kill people, and we need more mental health spending. And nothing will happen. Dick. Because we all damn well know that neither party wants to actually do anything. The Republicans are funded by the NRA, and the Democrats are, a lot of Democrats also take NRA money. Thank you, Warren. I bought this mic back for my birthday in August, and I figured I've been using it ever since. So yeah, that's the script. That's the script they always go with. Like, yep. Yeah, I mean, let Democrats say ban assault weapons, do common sense gun reform. Get dark at 4:30. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to change the name of the show since I'm gonna do it at 7. But for now, it's still Angel in the afternoon. Eventually, it'll get changed. I'm sure I'll get around to it. But for now, it's Angel in the afternoon still, but it's afternoon in the West Coast still, which is why technically in my show still the name still makes sense. But yeah, that's the script. That's the script. As the Democrats are pro this and they want to ban assault weapons. They want to do common sense gun reform. Meanwhile, the Republicans offer thoughts and prayers, and they offer we don't want to do it when it's not the guns. People kill people, and they're also going to want to do more mental health spending. No mental health spending happens. 2, nothing happens. It's just rhetoric. It's just grandstanding, virtue signaling, and people forget about the mass shooting in a week or two, and everyone moves on. Nothing gets passed, or maybe Democrats introduce legislation in the Senate or in the House. It fails. Everybody forgets about it. Everyone moves on until the next mass shooting, of course, which makes headlines, and then this entire script starts over again. So that's the script. That's what's going on there. All right, Bad Cookie say, not going to lie, Angel, I want to keep my guns. I don't want some idiot to ruin for me, honest truth. I mean, I'm not in favor of any real gun reform. Maybe because I was anti-gun to the point where if you go back to my old tweets from 10 years ago, you would see a lot of I was anti-Second Amendment, period. I was part of a group that wanted to repeal the Second Amendment. I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I was a young kid and I didn't know any better. So don't hold that against me. But yeah, looking now today, it's like, yeah, what even if we do some sort of gun reform, like, hey, here's some money to introduce red flag laws, or here's some money to do this, or here's some money for extra. I don't have a problem with mental health spending. In fact, we need a lot more mental health spending, because people need, there's a lot of screwed up people in this country, and I'm one of them. I'm openly admitted I'm bipolar. I'm on medication. I go on. I've admitted that in the past. So it's good. More mental health spending, the better. So, but anything else when it comes to gun reform? I mean, here in New Jersey, we have some of the most strictest gun laws in the country. And in order to even buy a gun, you have to fill out more paperwork than hell going to the doctor. I mean, you fill out more paperwork trying to get a gun than going to the goddamn doctor. And because it's absurd how much paperwork you have to fill out here. And even then, you might not get the weapon because there's a slight issue with as long as you don't have a felony, you should be able to purchase a gun. But even then, you know, no private purchases of ammo. Um, what do you mean by that? Because because we all like buy ammo privately. It's like unless you're saying you're meaning something else. But Cowboy Kitty says in the afternoon. Yes, I mean I've had multiple people tell me that I need to change the name of the show. That means changing the graphics. That means it's really annoying. So regulating ammunition. I mean, you can only buy a certain amount of ammunition. Again, I don't know about that. It's You have the right to buy how much ammo as you want as of now. Could you even regulate buying ammunition without having a Second Amendment issue? That's for the courts to decide. That would be I wonder if anybody would test that and actually try to pass a law banning unlimited purchases of ammunition, because there's already like an anti-gun show loophole, so you can buy all the guns you want at gun shows. Unless yeah, I know Democrats try to ban that. I don't know whether it actually got banned on that or not. Every ammo is sold by a single state, not government. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is ultimately. I don't know. I know that banning guns isn't gonna help the situation because like right wing says, criminals don't respect the laws. I mean, they have a bunch of weapons. I mean, just because you ban citizens from purchasing weapons or purchasing ammo or purchasing or AR-15s or whatever, it doesn't mean that the criminals will stop. They'll have the weapons, they'll have the ammo, and they're still going to go out and kill a bunch of people. In other words, a community entity that regulates ammo. Oh, like a government or something. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, but I wanted to make sure. It's 8:36 right now. Is there something else I wanted to talk about? Because I know. Hold on a second. Because I could wrap up right now. Because my ass. Oops. I have a cheap chair here. My ass has kind of been killing me, so that's why I've been moving around a lot. After an hour and a half, it's like whoops, and I mean, I start doing this and start doing that, or I start doing that. So you see me after 90 minutes just moving around. That's why, and it's been 95 minutes almost. Uh, yeah, but again, the hillbillies know how to make ammo, so you really have to regulate the ingredients needed to make ammo. Yeah, I mean, there's also 3D printers that now print guns too, so it's not as simple. and also they print the ammo. So it's not as simple as saying, "Hey guys, ammunition, you can't buy unlimited ammunition anymore. Hey guys, you cannot buy AR-15s anymore." And oh yeah, by the way, Americans can now make ammo and print out AR-15s with 3D printers, and they can do all this stuff. So yeah, it's regulation like that. It turns out to be pointless, but Democrats are still going to virtue signal and grandstand on this because they're politicians, and ultimately that's what they do. They're just politicians. It just got Warren. Yeah, 3D printers did change the game. It changed everything because now we can print out guns at nauseum. It's like, hey, I mean, let's get a million guns and a bunch of ammo. It still works. People get killed all the time with these guns. Oh, by the way, these guns don't have serial numbers and they're unregulated, and there's no way to know what gun killed this person or that person because they're 3D printed. So yeah, so they definitely changed the game. I don't know. Only way would be to regulate printing of 3D guns, which again is not. I'm sure the NRA would like that because the NRA is controlled by gun manufacturers, and they're going to lose a shit ton of money with these 3D guns hanging around. So I'm sure that the NRA would definitely support legislation to ban printing of 3D weapons because it takes away business from they definitely have to protect, the NRA would definitely be in favor of banning the printing of 3D guns because the manufacturers are losing tens of millions of dollars because people are printing their guns instead of going through the red tape, especially in blue states like where I live in New Jersey. Cowboy Kitty says Angel's ass has been taken to revolting against them. We must stand with Angel ass because they're the ones obviously oppressed. Come on, man. I have a cheap chair here. I'm trying to, just do that for now. I respect people. Warren says, I respect people who have a weapon for family or for protection. But these people who get boners by touching a gun and they have an armory of Cuba in their garage, that's scary. Yeah, I mean, people have too much guns they're, obviously these are either preppers, which the people who are preparing for the end of the world, or they're psychopaths, who have to have every single weapon in the world and to for reasons. I don't know why you have to have every weapon and a bunch of ammo, even more ammo than some militaries and some weapons, but whatever. But yeah, it is a problem. I am concerned about that. I'm not saying that, I'm not concerned about it, but I don't know legally what we can do about it. As a mechanical minded person, the gun is awesome, but humanitarian me stays away. I don't have a gun myself. I mean, I've considered buying one in the past, but it was like I never actually, you know, took the dive because in New Jersey, like I said, there's a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of red tape, and it takes months before even you're allowed to buy a weapon. So yeah, but these hands get it done. I mean, hey, I mean, I'm from the '90s, so these days people pull out their guns way too easy. Instead of fighting with their hands, they pull out their weapon and just shoot, which is a problem, which is why I don't like getting into fights anymore. So, yeah, I mean, back in the day, these hands, were, pretty good. Not anymore. I mean, I haven't done a fight since high school. And I'm nearly 40 today. I'm 37, but yeah, I mean, I don't do that stuff anymore. So, all right. Honestly, I really need to end the show. Next Thursday, there's I'm bringing on a gentleman to debate me on Israel Palestine. So that'd be interesting to be next Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm bringing on a gentleman who contacted me on Twitter. He wants to debate me on the issue. He's pro-Israel. So that'll be next Thursday, most likely, as far as I know, because he'll let me know next week but I'm pretty sure it'll be next Thursday. So that would be interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to that because ultimately, I'm gonna be, we're going to be, I'm probably gonna be upset at some point because I know myself and I know that stuff. So, all right. I mean, so I'm gonna. I'll definitely appreciate the stream. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me in the chat. Bad Cookies, I missed you a lot. So, same thing with Warren. I mean, I haven't really spoken to you in a while. Hope everything is well. My throat's tired, and I'm gonna wrap up for now. I'm going to see you guys next Thursday. We're probably that debate, most likely, or conversation. Great. I mean, I hope to see everybody next week. And I'm going to see you guys next Thursday in Angel in the evening or afternoon. I don't know. I'm going to change the name of the show at some point. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you very much, Warren, Sula Moon, Cowboy Kitty, hanging out, Fred Edward, Bad Cookies, definitely. I'm glad you're able to check it out today for a little bit. Everybody, hope everybody has a great weekend. And I'll see you guys next Thursday, hopefully with that debate or conversation. I don't like having debates. It's more like conversations, because debates like, oh, debate me, bro. Debate me, bro. I'm not a debate me, bro. But I'm interested in having conversations, people who disagree with me. So if you're disagree with me on something, you want to come on, let me know. I mean, I'd love to have conversations like that. Well, until next time, until next weekend, I'll see you guys soon. Next Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Peace.